Hey YouTube Frog, so today in this video we're checking out a new game called Sword of Convallaria. This game released a couple days ago on July 31st, so it's been out for a couple days now. This game is a fantasy, a tactical RPG that revitalizes the beloved Japanese turn-based and pixel art genre. So if you guys are familiar with games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem style games, this game is exactly like those type of games, and it's really comfortable if you enjoy that turn-based style. So I've been spending the last couple days trying this game out, and let me just say, okay, I'm gonna be very honest with my raw first impressions here. This game probably had one of the best first impressions for these type of games that I've ever experienced. I was playing the other day on my stream for a couple hours, and it has such good pacing, which I'll tell you guys all about it. I basically unlocked all of the major features, and I'll explain everything as we go along. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy my first impressions. If you guys do happen to like what you're seeing, you can go ahead and support my channel by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. It's completely free to download. You don't have to pay anything to do it. I really appreciate if you guys check it out. This is sponsored by XD Studios. I am playing this game as a sponsored endeavor, but I really wanted to emphasize that this was one of the easiest sponsors that I've done because the experience of playing the game from start to finish did not feel like a chore at all. Grab a snack, enjoy the game. It'll go by in a blink of an eye. Alright, so let's dive into a little bit more detail about each of the game's features. First things first is that when you enter the game and you create your character, you have the stereotypical dialogue options, and you can totally skip this if you want to. It's in the top right hand corner, but I chose to play through it to get the first hand experience. So the first thing that I noticed was the intro cutscene. Literally 5 seconds in, I was already blown away by the voice acting. You're in a jail cell and you're being saved by a group of people. Now, during this, you're introduced to the combat style of the game, which is the turn-based RPG style that, if you're very familiar with, resembles Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. The first major thing that I was like, okay, so you can definitely use terrain in this. The Rawia character was able to push one of the enemies off of the side, which is really cool. And then overall, the UI and the graphics are really solid. It teaches you like, okay, so this is how much damage I'll do. I'm not gonna be able to one-shot them, and like this is where I can stand while doing the damage. What I appreciate about this was the pacing of it. Didn't feel too slow, didn't feel too fast. And even though we were introduced into this Rawia character, we were introduced to her, she had super cool ability, and then unfortunately, she got slain. So already we have a very strong start to the voice acting of the game, and this allows for a pretty nice immersive experience, especially for this kind of single player RPG kind of game. Then we're introduced into a little bit more mechanics, all right? So like we have explosive barrels, you have terrain advantage, you have the element system, the red, blue, green, and then the purple, yellow. It's like dark, light, and then you can consider it like fire, grass, water, whatever it is. But basically in this game, it's a little different. They're called like Seeker, Destroyer, and like Offensive or something like that. And then you have light, dark. Anyways, basically it's just the damage triangle where one thing gains bonuses against the other, and then one thing resists the other. All right, so moving a little bit more along, we get introduced to kind of like our home. We have this little cat that like teaches us and like narrates part of the story. And then after you finish the intro cutscene and you get introduced a little bit into the mechanics of the game, we get into the summon feature. And I spent a little bit of time on the summons. I even dropped a little bit of money on the game because I wanted to test out how the gacha summons worked. And it seems to me, since this is an ad video, I want to be a little bit more balanced in my review. This game has your legendary choice, but the default purchase packs and the default pity summons is a little expensive. So I spent $100, and with those $100, I made sure to pick up the legendary character selection, and I also made sure to pick up the 20 summons. So doing that cost me about 3,000 of the premium currency. And the thing about this game is that the premium currency needs to be converted into the game currency. It's not an automatic system. Some packs are only done with the premium currency. Pretty standard for most gacha games. After that, we went and decided to do some summons. So first off, I decided to check out basically every character and see, you know, who I was interested in. Obviously, females are a little bit more attracted to me. While the males are pretty cool, I'm looking for some hot anime waifu to pull and play for my team. So there's a lot of sick character designs. Really slick, really nice. I believe there were about 20 to 25 or even more characters. The characters that you're introduced in the beginning of the game are also in here. Their names are Fakel, Martha, and also Rawia. So those three characters are basically like the supporting cast alongside the MC, and they are also legendary 5-star characters available for summoning. So after looking through all these characters, I settled my sights on Garcia. Reason why is because, I don't know, she's got that badass kind of vibe with that executioner looking scythe thing. It is what it is, okay? We have our guaranteed first summons, which I believe you get a guarantee within your first 30 summons. The thing is, I got very lucky. You'll see in a second. Oh, wait! That was my first 10 pull, right? And then after that, we went into the Cole / Beryl rate up summon. I wanted Beryl, but she seemed like a pretty cute character, but I ended up getting Cole. That being said, Cole is not even bad as well, since I wanted Garcia. Both of these characters are blue characters. They're secret characters, I believe. So both Cole and Garcia are secret characters, so they're kind of like assassin type characters, which is pretty cool. So with those summons, I ended up with 3 legendary characters. The other one that I got was Teodon. He's kind of a tank, but you are given Martha. So Martha is a pretty solid tank who's able to heal one of your lowest health allies every end of her own turn. I did end up choosing Garcia to play around with. I enhanced her a little bit, and then we went into a little bit more of the combat system. So the combat system is pretty interesting because while I'm playing around and getting introduced to mechanics like terrain, fire on the ground, push-offs, stuff like that, there was a cool thing later on that really surprised me, something called Spiral of Destiny. And Spiral of Destinies is essentially like a rewind or like a different timeline of the story. It was kind of a deja vu moment. We went back to the beginning cutscene of the game where we were stuck in jail. While we were stuck in jail, the MC noticed that we could do a little bit of different actions. So we managed to have some dialogue options that allowed us to save Rowea from getting slain in the beginning, which means that she eventually met up with us later on. This was a really cool feature, and it seemed to be like, this is the story part of the game. You have Spiral of Destinies, you have the main quest, and those two kind of tie into each other. You get to experience different realms of the game, and while you're doing that, you're able to make main story progress, which is the stage levels, and then we fought up to 010, and I really wanted to fight 010's main boss, but I tried to, and it doesn't look like you can actually attack it, so I did get baited there, but that's okay. Yeah, so overall, that's the main structure of the game. You have the summon feature for your gacha characters. You use those gacha characters to progress the storyline. We also have the equipment system and the skill system. I didn't really get too far into it to be able to equip multiple weapons on all of my teammates and also ascend the rank, because if you might have noticed that you can't level your character higher than your actual player level. So you need to rank up your player level, and your characters themselves are kind of capped to your level. Other games have this, obviously, right? For example, in Genshin Impact, if you're not past AR45, you can't ascend them past a certain degree. It's the same type of concept, except in this game, it is level by level. If you are level 8, your characters cannot be higher than level 8. But it's pretty cool. When you rank up the character, you're able to choose one of 2 different abilities. These passive abilities either are more aggressive, more offensive, or more defensive for your team. So you can really find distinguished builds that, other players may not be doing, and experience a different way to play the character than what you may have thought was originally the intention. And then finally, once you reach past, it's not really a tutorial, but basically like the whole first couple hours is essentially teaching you all the game mechanics, and finally unlock what's called Crossing Worlds. Now this is the 3rd tab on the 3 tabs where you can select what you want to do. You have the Fool's Journey, which is the main quest. You have Spiral of Destinies, which is the alternate timelines, and then you have Crossing Worlds, which is essentially material or resource farming. When you enter Crossing Worlds, you're able to access essentially rank up stuff. So we did a rank up trial, and we did the water trial because it had an extra reward. So we tried this out, and it does take stamina, which is the top left. We were able to experience a slightly different version of the main story game. So in this, we had a boss enemy called the Avatar of Tara, which is Samantha, and it turns out that I believe Samantha is actually one of the legendary characters that you can actually play. It's very interesting to see. They probably have the similar abilities, and you can see what it feels like to face them. Overall, this sponsor was probably one of the easiest sponsors for me to do. I felt that from start to finish, the game's pacing was really well done. Introduced to you the immersion, world building with the cutscenes in the VA, then it taught you the tutorials for combat, introduced you to the summon system, and then it brought you to Spiral of Destinies, which allowed you to replay an old cutscene and save a character. And after that, you had your dailies and rank up stuff. Obviously, every single game has its pros and cons, right? The cons of this game are that, in my opinion, I feel like even though the packs are like the same price as the usual gacha games, pulls do seem to be a little bit more expensive because the pity system is much larger. So in that sense, it may cost you a lot more to get like a guarantee of the character that you want. But overall, combat, really solid, turn-based. Everyone has their abilities, skills. You have an energy system for them. Cutscenes is probably the best part of this game. The VA makes you feel like you're playing an anime. And so overall, very solid. Thank you guys very much for checking out Sword of Convallaria with me. If you are interested, you can check out !SOC, the link. Mobile, PC, we got some codes that you guys redeem for free rewards in the game. It's free to play. It's on Steam. I'm playing on Steam right now. It is gacha. The gameplay of a JRPG styled into Fire Emblem / tactics type gameplay. So if you like that, check it out. All right. Thank you to XD Studios for sponsoring. Anyways, thank you guys, chat, for tuning in today. I will see you guys on the next stream.